Good evening! If you haven't noticed on my Facebook, or you're just finding out now, I guess, if you don't know me personally, I've been doing projections over what if there was a 15-team playoff in college football. Right now, I feel as though the current system is a bit dated. It worked for a little while. I liked it. But now teams are so competitive, having only restricting to 2 teams for the national championship is a little too restrictive. And it needs to be a little more inclusive. So I developed a system that would should please everyone, because it not only rewards conference champions and basically the top 7 of the country, it also rewards within the system performance within the regular season. I'll explain more in a bit, but first, let's get on with this unique college football playoff selection show. Roll logo! This is a special TCS Films blog entry, the 2012-2013 College Football Selection Show. I'll get on to how everything works in a minute, but first I will reveal the number 1 seed in all of the land. That is the number, yes, I actually picked this team above the number 1 team in the country. The number 2 team in the country, Alabama, is the number 1 seed in these college football playoffs. Basically, they got in by winning their conference championship in a such grueling fashion, and by beating Georgia. And it just made sense that if you win in the best conference, who's basically the best conference by far in the last few years, on their way to possibly winning 7 in a row, then, of course, you deserve to be the number 1 seed. So Alabama's the number 1 seed in the country. Now let's get on to how this tournament works. It is a 5-round, 15-team tournament. 11 of them are filled with automatic conference bids. Basically, you win a conference, you're in. Now, there's no seed lock for that, you're just in. Beyond that. There's also 4 wildcard teams. Those are determined by the BCS standings. However, those BCS standings are not used to determine seeding. You may have already seen evidence of that with Alabama being the number 1 seed. The top 5 seeds get a first round bye. Round 3 is a single game round. Rounds 1 and 2 are 5 games. Round 3 is 1 single game to basically dwindle the teams from 5 to 4. And those teams will be presumably, ideally, the 4 and 5 seeds. Standard amount of games to win a national championship is 4. But if you're in a top 3 seed, you only have to win 3. So you definitely have a huge advantage if you're a top 3 seed. You have an even bigger advantage if you're the number 1 seed, because you play the winner of that game in the 3rd round. So you definitely see here where rewarding for regular season performance does come into play, beyond just making the playoffs. Also, if you are a bottom 4 seed, which will pretty much be, I should say pretty much, they will be conference champions. You have to win 5 games. You basically have to play all 5 rounds in order to win the national championship. The odds are stacked against you if you do that. But your first round is designed to at least give you a shot for a win. So at least, you can't say we didn't stack the cards completely against you. You at least had a shot for a win. So everything's fair. All games will be played on the campus site of the higher seed, except the semis, which will be BCS Bowl games. The championship will be at a neutral site like it already is right now. And all teams that lose before the semis will have one final bowl game. Now, obviously, they can't play for national championship. Those hopes are dashed. They have to win out. But if you lose in rounds 1, 2, and 3, and the bowl game you play if you lose in round 3 is already designated. Rounds 1, 2, not so much. Okay, they'll be pretty much almost like the system that already exists, except you play a playoff game. That's the only difference. If you play the team, if you lose, basically, you just go play your bowl game. So without further ado, let's go to our automatic bids real quick. The teams that automatically get a bid into the playoffs. In the ACC, we have Florida State. They went 11-2, and they really pulled out a squeaker against Georgia Tech last night. They won, 21-15. In the Big 12, Kansas State. They went 10-1. They beat Oklahoma 24-19. That was actually on September 22nd, but that was the difference maker. That's pretty much what put them over the top to win the Big 12 outright. The Big East. Louisville bested both Rutgers and Syracuse. Won the tiebreaker, and they go 10-2, and they are in as an automatic bid. In the Big Ten, here's a shocker for you. Wisconsin. Wisconsin's going to have the worst win-loss record in all of college football playoffs. Okay? No one will have as many losses as Wisconsin, but they're in. They beat Nebraska the other day, 70-31. That's how they got in. I'll get to Nebraska again in just a second. Conference USA. Tulsa. To go 10-3, they beat UCF in overtime in the championship game, 33-27. They're in. MAC, if you're going to move for some action, you're going to be in luck. Northern Illinois at 12-1. They beat Kent State in double overtime, 44-37. You missed a dandy if you missed that one. Replays on ESPN3 if you missed it. They're in. Boise State, they win a 3-team tiebreaker to get into the Mountain West, besting both San Diego State and Fresno State. Pac-12. Stanford at 11-2, they beat UCLA. 27-24. I have. I'm not sure that's accurate. SEC, Alabama at 12-1. They beat Georgia in a thriller, 32-28. Sun Belt, Arkansas State, they beat Middle Tennessee. Now, Sun Belt doesn't have a championship game, but they did kind of have a de facto championship game because the two teams that played yesterday were the top 2 teams in the conference. So, de facto national conference championship game. Arkansas State beat Middle Tennessee 45-0. Okay, it's almost as bad as the Big Ten championship game. Actually, it's worse. And finally, the WAC championship, Utah State. 10-2, they bested San Jose State to win the WAC. And they will be the final team to come out of the WAC ever. The WAC is folding at the end of this football season. There are also teams in the bubble. Let's go over them real quick. Most of them are from the SEC. Easy to understand why. We have Clemson at 10-2, Florida at 11-1, Georgia at 11-2, LSU at 10-2, Notre Dame at 12-0. How rare is it that a undefeated team is on the bubble? Well, I'll tell you why. They're not in the conference, so they have to get in as an at-large. They're as an at-large. Oklahoma's 10-2, South Carolina's 10-2, Oregon 11-1, Texas A&M 10-2. So those 9 teams have a chance at those 4 exclusive wild card spots. Teams that didn't win the conference, but it's good enough to at least have a chance at the national championship. There were 3 teams that were in my projected bracket last week, and it absolutely blew it. Here they are. Cue weakest link music. Fresno State. They went 9-3. They didn't schedule a game. They did not play last weekend. Failed. Because Boise State did have a game. They played Nevada. And they won. Bottom line, should have won more game. Or should have had one more game. What are you going to do? Rutgers, I'm going to go to the bottom here. Rutgers is 9-3, but they lost to Louisville in that Thursday night clash for the Big East title. Not a good thing. Not a good thing at all. So, Rutgers, who I thought probably had this stuff, they did not. So they're out. And how about Nebraska? It looked like there was a shoo-in for Nebraska. They're still ranked. But for how long? Because now, is there really a game that's even winnable for these guys? They got shellacked in the Big Ten championship game at 10-3. Don't get me wrong, 10 runs is impressive. You were in a weak Big Ten conference. It was win or get in. You failed. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. So those 3 teams are not in the bubble. In fact, they are gone.